I'm going to repeat everything I just said. I'm just kidding. So, so the very front end of this book, there's a cool quote, and this is what I got jazzed about this book. I've mentioned this like 2 or 3 people already, and so Jessica's heard this, so bear with me, Jessica. I'm going to repeat this story. So the reason I love this book, it was first introduced to me back in 2017 when prices were going up, and this new term in the mortgage lending industry they called margin compression, which is the first time I'd ever heard this term. I was like, what the fuck, margin compression? Why don't you just call it what it is? You guys can't sell the price. Margin compression. That's just like this politically correct term of salespeople don't know how to sell value. And the industry is terrible at training salespeople how to do this. And that's the industry's fault. And that's why I'm so jazzed about it, because I think I can create a real differential for our salespeople by training on this subject. So in the introduction of this book, there's a quote here that says, there's nothing new about the problem of price objections. Salespeople have faced the price issues for centuries. An art critic by the name of John Ruskin wrote, there is hardly anything in the world that some man cannot make a little worse and sell a little cheaper. And the people who consider price only when they're buying something are that man's lawful prey. Now, John Ruskin said this. He died January 20th, 1900. Which means in the 1800s during the Civil War, he said it, right? Or just after the Civil War. And people were objecting to price in the 1800s. So it's not like this new phenomenon. It's been around forever, right? And that's what, as soon as I read that, I highlighted, I was like going, oh, I'm going to love this book. This is going to be a cool book. So the first chapter of this book is called Facing Reality. And there's 10 realities that they talk about in this book. And the first one is, reality number 1 is you are going to hear price objections. They come with the territory of being in sales. So what I believe, and this is where the industry falls down and doesn't give the salespeople enough support here, is every salesperson hates price objections. Who likes one? I freaking hate it. When I was selling and a customer would give me shit about price, I'm like, God damn it. And like everybody hates it. Nobody likes it. And I get that. And that's why I was like, well, let's help then. Let's make it better. Let's give you ammunition to do this. But the price objections go with the territory. And in spite of your best efforts, someone is always going to object to the price. As a consumer, you do it all the time, right? So it's not weird. Right. So that's the first thing, is to get into your head. It's kind of normal. Right. And there's actually a quote in here that says, if you're not getting a price objection 1 out of 6 times, your price is too low and you're leaving money on the table. You could charge more. Think about that. Like if we're not hearing any price objections, like going, and you guys are like, oh, this is great. Nobody's like going, maybe we should raise the price. Right. Like, because we're just leaving money on the table. That's a statement.
Hey, Dave, remember that chart you drew in my office at one time?
Yep.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah.
Was that in the book?
Price objection.
No, was that in the book?
That was in the book. You're talking about
okay.
the
16% will use you no matter what. 16 won't. We'll just shop the hell out of you.
Right.
And then 68%, you gotta.
The 68% in the middle is what's at
show
stake.
value. Yeah. Okay.
So reality number 2, you're going to lose business because of price. It's going to happen. It's going to happen, and it's okay. Actually, because with price shopping customers, your in-pocket profitability is lower because they demand the same high level of treatment and they want it at a lower price. Think about that. Like they want a lower treatment. So is it weird when you're at Walmart and the shelves are a little disheveled and the lines are a little long and maybe the store isn't as clean as it should? Is that weird? No, that's not weird. But if that happened at Nordstrom's, you'd be like, what the fuck's going on here? Right. So when value is the key, you recognize value in where you expect it. And so you would never see a piano player playing the piano at the Walmart in the back of the Walmart, like you do at Nordstrom's on, a nice Nordstrom's. So there's a piano player or something so it's just value, price. You just have to understand that reality. And the fact is, these 2 questions can help you clarify and face the reality of where to invest your sales time. Do you want every order or every opportunity? You want as many as you can get, but do you want them all? Because we've all had that customer, and if you guys haven't had it yet, you will. You've had that customer where you got beat up, you wanted the deal, you worked really hard, you kept the deal, and the customer just freaking tortured you and you had to make more concessions and and then they give you a shit review and it's like, oh my God, why did I even do this deal? And so remember that. The second one is, have you ever met a customer whose business you did not want? And the answer is, well, yeah, I have. I've met lots of those customers and we all have. And so it's part of the territory. And reality number 3 is that you will sell in spite of your price. You do it all the time. You guys get the full price all the time. Happens all the time. Right. And so customers have taught you how to sell your total solution. In our terms, your value added. So are you listening? Just pay attention to what happens when the customer like hears it. And so like, and just said, Ryan just sent Dean and I a sit recording that he did where the customer was shopping him, but he got the deal. And he's like, well, take a look and tell me what I could do. It's like, first of all, he sounds super confident. You sound like you know exactly what you're talking about. That's a huge part of adding value. So, but go back and listen to your best presentations, listen to the presentation and look for the clues. What did I say? How did I say it? How did I sound? Because this is a profession, right? If I'm willing to pay you $5 grand for 1 loan, 10 grand for 2, 20 grand for 4, 40 grand for 8, like in a month, if I'm willing to do that, what are you willing to do to become so good at this that you make that money at will? Like you just make it because like, yeah, I'm that good. And you can be that good. That's what's cool about this business. What I like about it. But reality number 4, everyone wants equity. The one thing the buyer wants more than a cheap price is equity. He wants to feel that he is getting at least as good as he is giving. The sale is always about the customer and his perception of value. People buy when they feel they're getting as good as they give. Your task is to listen to this. Your task is to present your solution as an equitable exchange for the buyer's money, right? But that's what's going on, right? And makes them feel that way. Reality number 5, some price objections are just fake. Some are real, but some are fake. Fake means that price is not the real reason the buyer is hesitating. If the buyer gets a better, whether the resistance is real or not, there is an incentive for the buyer to bargain on price. Why? Because if the buyer gets a better price, she wins. If not, she's lost nothing. Right? So, I mean, if a customer says to you, here's a great line, write this one down. If a customer says to you, is that the best price you can get? If your first reaction is, well, like you've already lost, your answer needs to be, I give all my customers my very best price. Okay, thanks. Right? They have nothing to lose by asking that question and everything to gain, right? Because most salespeople fold like a cheap suit. And then you're just like the used car salesman who's like, let me go talk to my manager. And everybody hates to do that. Please don't put yourself in that position because it feels crud. I know how it feels. I've been there. I hate it. I don't want you to have to feel that way. So price objections are fake. Preparation, this is a great one. Preparation builds your confidence. So whoever is better prepared for the price negotiation tends to emerge from that negotiation with a much more desirable outcome. Being prepared does not guarantee your success, but being unprepared almost guarantees your failure and your loss, right? So this is why this book is so valuable, because you're going to want you to become the very best professional salesperson that you can possibly become, because that's how this is going to play out for you. Reality number 7, this is a great one. You are supposed to make money. Profit is not a dirty word. It is the lifeblood of you and your company's ability to reinvest in its future. If you're not making money, you can't invest. You heard the gifting stuff, some of the stuff that Christine's doing. You can't do it. And you want to do it because you want to add that value, right? You want to be able to go to coaching programs. You want to be able to go to seminars. You want to get better and better and better at this. Profit funds R&D, recruiting of top talent, and all the service programs. The profit you garner in the form of a higher price is just an investment your buyer makes in receiving even greater value from your company in the future, right? So think about it that way. Reality number 8, and this is my favorite, salespeople create their own misery. Most price objection is a self-inflicted wound. They've taught buyers to object to price. There's a 15-year study of sales behavior conducted by a company in 1996 issue of Competitive Advantage that reported that 90% of salespeople impulsively and mostly unprompted by buyer price resistance offered a cheaper price to get the business. They just do it like it's just a thing, and don't do it. Volume is no substitute for profit. So most salespeople still believe they can reduce price and make up for it in volume. You absolutely cannot do that in mortgage lending. You just can't, because you can only do what you're going to do. Okay. Cutting the price and making it up in volume. Walmart has the advantage of putting a, $10 jar of pickles on sale at the front of the store or at the very back of the store for $1 and advertising it and getting you to walk through the store to go get that $10 worth of pickles for $1 and grabbing a bunch of other shit that's marked up really high. You can't do that. You're not selling 2 mortgages to the same guy on the same day because one was cheaper, right? It's just not happening. And then reality number 10, attitude drives behavior. And I really do think a big chunk of this is attitude. So I could sit here and go through, I've got so many highlighted sections in this book. I could do this. Just a couple of things other things I want to point out. All buyers, this is really important. All buyers are less price sensitive when they use a total cost of ownership analysis. Sound familiar? And appreciate the gain from your solution. Total cost of ownership refers to the initial price and then the ongoing costs buyers incur with product or service. So there's a whole chapter on this subject, but Mortgage Coach Total Cost Analysis, what are you doing? What you're doing is, and that's why I love this tool so much, is you're just not quoting rates and fees, which is what 90% of your competition does. That's all Quicken Loans does. The #1 lender in America, all they do is quote price and fee. And they send out loan estimates, and that's the deal. That's their value. And they're not cheaper on top of everything else. They're not cheaper than everyone else. They're many times the most expensive lender that you can find advertised, but their marketing is great. And they're just taking orders over the phone. That's what they're doing because the customer doesn't know any better. Here's another quote. The more the buyer knows about your solution, the more ways you can distinguish yourself from the competition. So Jessica and I had a discussion about this the other night, and she put together a really cool email. The 10 things I do different than my competitors. And we're going to work on something like this as a group. But it's the more the buyer knows, the more they can make a decision about what your value really is. If all they know is, oh yeah, okay, yeah, I can do your loan, and here's what I can do. It changes everything. And that's when it's just a commodity. You've commoditized yourself, right? There's just a lot more to what we do. Listen to this. Is the price objections are self-inflicted wounds. This guy's opinion is that salespeople should have zero pricing authority. And I would agree with this, but on a 10-point scale, with 10 being most important, how important is price? Salespeople rated price as on a scale of 1 to 10, 8.3, one of the most important things. Buyers rated at 6.9. It's simple. Salespeople make a bigger deal out of price than buyers do. And it's because it's our attitudes, right? It's the way we think. This is a true story. A sales rep told me that he and his wife were shopping for a new home. They saw one they really liked, and they talked to the listing agent. And the listing agent said, "Thanks for calling on this. I happen to know my seller is flexible on this price." She offered a price concession before the buyer commented on the listing price. The buyer could have thought it was a screaming deal. How would you like that agent to be working for you with your listing? Like, you freaking shooter, right? And she was not working for the seller, but she was working for the commission, right? That's all she was doing. So it's a really good point. So again, I could talk about this book for hours. There's just want to leave with this. If buyers want more than a cheap price, what do they want? Because this guy's contention is buyers want more than a cheap price. Some buyers don't. So what Chris was referring to, and it's in this book somewhere, that 16% of the people are not going to buy from you no matter how low the price gets. 16% of the people, another 16% of the people are going to buy from you no matter how much you charge, right? So think about it on a bell curve, right? And the 68% in the middle are the ones that are up for grabs. Those are the ones that you have to earn the business, right? Those are the ones that you really have to show the value to. And that's your job. That's what we do here. That's what makes it different. So, but they've done several studies of this, and they've rated what are the top priorities for buyers. They provided a list of each dimension of value and asked buyers to select the 4 most important items from each dimension. So they put this whole scientific study together. Price ranked anywhere from 9 in the early 1990s to 6 during the 2001 recession to 11 in their 2000. They did this again in 2007. That means in the midst of even an economic downturn, customers valued 5 things more than price. The 2001 recession, right? So here's the buyer preferences ranked by importance. Number 1, product quality and performance. Number 2, customer service. Number 3, knowledgeable salespeople. You got to know what you're fucking doing, right? You got to know your shit. You got to study your guidelines. You have to know what you're talking about. Product availability. Supplier stands behind what they sell. The supplier is easy to do business with. The salesperson follows through on promises. I'm gonna just beat the shit out of this because the number one thing that you can do to build credibility and show value is do what you said you were gonna do. If you tell, and it's the simple things, it's not just the complicated things. If you tell a customer you're calling at 2, do not call at 2:05. Call at 2. People hate this, so don't do it. Okay, Jessica. So don't do it. You'll lose business because of it. You will cast doubt in the mind of the buyer. Trustworthy salespeople, product durability, accessibility of the salesperson, product acquisition price is number 11 on this list, and 12, technical support. So study the book. I've got copies. If you don't, Dean will ask you guys and we'll make sure that you get one. And then I think what we need to do, so next Friday we're having, and I don't know, because it's July 1st and it's going to be a long weekend, so I'm not sure how many people are going to be on this call, but I'm out of town the following Friday. We have the girl from Escrow at VIP is going to come on and demonstrate escrow for us. And I really do believe this can be an extremely valuable tool. So I'd like as many people as possible to pay attention to this. I'm not going to go into exactly why, but I think it's just there's a big, I think you'll see why. And then some other things that I'm looking at with Mortgage Coach could make this escrow thing a really powerful, value added proposition for deepening relationships with real estate agents. So anyway, in the short term, that's what we're going to be doing next Friday. And then we'll talk after that about making this book something that we all dive into and come up with different exercises like what I had Jessica do, putting together what are the 10 things I do so that you guys have to know, like, what are the 10 things that I do that my competition does not, right? That what sets me apart. So just knowing that stuff can be super valuable to everybody. Does anybody have any questions or anything you want to throw out?
Hey, Dave, I really liked, you told me last night, the way you handle a price objection when someone asks about price, how you explain it, what we'd rather explain our price once.
Yeah. We made the decision a long time ago. This is a great line. At Zenith, we made the decision a long time ago to be willing to explain our price up front rather than answer for bad advice, poor follow-up of communication, shaky pre-approvals or pre-approvals that aren't even good, and closings that are late and ugly all throughout the process. So that's what a lot of our competition ends up having to do. We've decided to do it this way. And just all of a sudden, just make the customer go like, oh, okay, I guess that is different, isn't it? Because you have to be able to justify your price, right? You can't just, and again, I'm not suggesting that you're going to get lots of price objections. It's just sales is what we get. I don't want to make it seem like, oh man, it's really hard out there right now, because we're not seeing that. Our guys everybody's doing a really good job. Our pricing performance has been really well. It's always been really good here. One of the reasons is we're a big Mortgage Coach user, and that tool really changes the perception of the client. So anyway, thanks everybody. Appreciate your time. Thanks for listening. And we are out. Have an awesome Friday. I'll see you guys on the afternoon call.
Have a great day.